Absolutely. I was 12 and a half and I was walking, almost 13, walking through the neighborhood with my friend in the middle of the night. Like I said, I had the little snub nose 22 or 25. I can't remember exactly what it was. I think it was a 22 though. Little pearl handle get down. A guy from Real Linda came driving up and jumped out the truck. Grown man reached back and he slapped my friend. Well, when he did that, I pulled out the pistol and pop, 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 and it jammed. Luckily, it jammed at like 3 or 4 shots.
Yo, it's your boy King Dave here, and this is the Felon Show. Hope all is going well, man. We've got a good episode today, man. We've got my bro Nate on. But first of all, man, I'm going to need you to hit the like, hit the subscribe, and then go and see the description. I'm going to leave a link to my bro Nate, his channel, so you guys can go check that out. So yeah, make sure you go and do that. But yeah, man, so this is Nate, man. This is OG right here, man. I'll quickly introduce him, man. He's coming live from California, Sacramento.
Yes,
He's the real deal here, man. Double OG and a half. Definitely go check out his channel, man. He's doing a lot of positive things. He's doing a lot of positive stuff in the community. Go at him on Instagram, man. He's doing it all, man. He's got a positive message and all of that, man. But today we're going to sort of delve into his past, man, talk about some things that he's been through. Quickly, you know, he's from California, from Sacramento, Del Paso Heights. He's been to prison, man. You know, he's done almost 2 bricks inside. For those that don't know, that's almost 20 years, you know, so this guy's the real deal. So yeah, enough of the introductions, bro. How's it going, my brother? How is it over there?
Man, first and foremost, man, thank you for having me on the show, man. I appreciate it. Man, I'm good, man. Like, every day is another day of progression for me. I'm continuously putting one foot in front of the other, man, and trying to show the other brothers that we can all do the same stuff I'm doing, you know.
Yeah, brother.
Uh,
Yep, most
but
definitely.
but basically my whole life is about not reliving the mistakes of the past,
Yeah.
and teaching others that we can do different. And that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, brother. Same here, man. That's what we're all doing, man. Just trying to make a right out of a wrong, man. Trying to and let these youngins know, these youths out here, that jail isn't the way, man. You know, all of that street stuff and all of that isn't the way. But
That's a
yeah,
fact.
so I'm here in New Zealand, bro. You know what I mean? You're over there in Cali, you know.
Yes, sir.
So how is it over there, man? I
I
guess
mean,
we'll just get straight into it, brother. I mean, so where you from, my bro?
well, I'm from first of all, let me give you my lineup, man. What's popping, man? It's Nate Dogg 916 coming at you live from Sacramento. I'm from Del Paso Heights, California, obviously, as you said in your introduction, which is a blood neighborhood in Sacramento, California. I am no longer currently gang banger, but I'm always gonna be from the neighborhood I was from to the day I die. Um, but like I said, my life is more about showing people a better way and going back to that same neighborhood and showing the youngsters that was young like me that look, bro, it don't make you a sucker to get a job and make some money. It don't make you a sucker not to kill somebody. You know what I mean? It don't make you a sucker that to walk away from a fight. It don't make you a sucker to do none of that stuff because all it do is make you an inmate when you decide to do all these things. And I'm living proof. Like you said, I did 18 years straight, no breaks in maximum security prison in California. I didn't do the minimum facilities and the dorms. I never did a step up program where I started out doing a little bit for at a branch at a ranch or a dorm living anything. I went straight to maximum security as soon as I got there, and I stayed there the whole time. And every day of that was trash. Every day of that was trash. Every day was days I was thrown in the garbage in my life. That's it. That's all it was. And I don't glorify it. So if you guys do come to my channel, which is the same as my name, Nate Dogg 916 on YouTube, if you come to my channel and if you're looking for all the boistering and the bragging about being in prison, yeah, you coming to the wrong channel, man. I'm more about showing positivity, man, and showing the stories that other individuals have learned from doing time.
Yeah, most definitely, brother. I mean, man, you're part of the inspiration behind my show, brother. You know what I mean? When I first got out of prison in Australia and got deported back here, you were one of the first videos I seen, man, with Big Herc. And man, that was inspirational, brother. You know
Right.
what I mean? That's why it's an honor,
Right. I
man, to have you
appreciate
on.
that.
It's an honor to have you on the show, man.
Right.
And to yeah, let us know, man, how it is. You know, like you said, you know, you
Absolutely.
done all maximum security, all level 4 yards, all maximum security. I mean, that's definitely no joke.
Yeah.
You know, to survive and all of that. But so for my viewers here in New Zealand, you know, can you give a little breakdown of what it's like in Del Paso Heights, brother, out there in Sacramento, what it was like growing up out there?
Well, okay. So, um, as a kid in Del Paso Heights, man, it was just regular kid stuff, man. Like my mom, you know, she was in the house, but to be honest, like she was doing her own thing. You know what I mean? She made sure that we had a roof, that's for sure. She made sure we had food, that's for sure. You know what I mean? With the money from the welfare department or whatever else. So she made sure that we had the things that she believed we needed, you know, but the environment that we were kept around and kept with, you know what I mean, the people that were brought around us and the people that we lived around, it was, you know, when you walk outside of my house, you saw pimps and drug dealers and jackers and prostitutes and everything. Walking to school, you see, you know, I've seen bodies walking to school and things like that. All things of that nature at a young age, to where not only did it desensitize me from these type of things to where these things weren't shocking when I got older in life, but it kind of made it, it's like I was having a conversation with somebody today, and I said, what would life have been like if I grew up with a square father? Because I had no father of my own. You know what I mean? I had a stepdad, but you know, that he was a drug dealer, you know, but I had no father. So you learn how to be an adult by the people that you're surrounded with as a child. You know, so when I was a child, I seen pretty big time drug dealers and once again pimps, not just outside of my house, but inside of my home as well. And like, you know, I've walked out getting ready for go to school in the morning and seen, you know, pounds of drugs just on the table getting chopped up or bagged up or money getting counted or whatever. And you know, I mean, all these things and seeing, and I seen how um as a child, how the adults around me reacted to their problems, and it was always violence. It was always, if there was an issue, you respond to that issue with violence. And you know, I was a pretty intelligent kid, but at the same time, I was soaking in everything I was seeing around them. So I was adapting that lifestyle. Like by the time I hit 12, when I really like the way I say it, the way I jumped off the porch, when I was already like sneaking a little pistol out of my mom's panty drawer and walking around with it in my pocket, you know, like just in case, because I know how rough it was in my neighborhood, you know, and I was a little skinny kid. I wasn't trying to get beat up all the time. So, you know, I wanted to protect myself. And that's what eventually led me to my first case as a juvenile. Um, which I talked about on the Hurt interview.
Oh, so I mean, so by 12 years old, you were already rolling around with a pistol. I mean, man, that's crazy, you know, especially to hearing that from New Zealand, you know, for that to be the norm. I mean,
Yeah,
like, can you talk at all about the gang scene in Del Paso Heights, brother,
absolutely.
when you were growing up?
Oh, absolutely. I don't
So,
have no
were
boundaries.
you banging by the time you were 12, bro, or were you already put on? Or
I'm not gonna say that I was really banging by the time I was 12. I'm not gonna put it like that. But by the time I was 14, it was full. It was full. This Del Paso high blood. Period. Nothing else to talk about. By the time
so,
I was 14.
so was it a blood neighborhood that you grew up in?
Yeah, definitely. Now, don't get me wrong. I moved around, you know, in different parts of my neighborhood, and we moved to other neighborhoods at times in my life. But the only neighborhood I ever claimed or represented or anything was Del Paso Heights. You know, and when I did all my activities and all my stuff I wasn't supposed to be doing, for those of y'all who don't know what it means, all my gang activities, it was always representing Del Paso Heights at the time.
Or sort of talk about the history of the Del Paso Heights Bloods, or like,
Well, I could talk a little bit about the history of it. Like initially, my neighborhood started out a long time ago after the military base decided that they didn't. My neighborhood started out as military housing,
yeah,
right? Because there's a military base right by my neighborhood, and it started out as just housing for the military. Well, as soon as the military people, they started to defund the base. So the military people were moving out. So now it became affordable housing. So then
similar to New Zealand here in
oh,
the hoods, the neighborhoods here. Yeah, they started off similar
okay. So
as
then
for the military. Yeah.
okay. So eventually the African Americans or black people started moving in because it was cheaper housing. It was affordable housing. So they started going in there, buying property, buying houses, starting neighborhoods. And it started out back in the days, we had people like the Cadillac Boys and just little crews of people that was just in the neighborhood.
So were those like the older homies too? Or?
Yeah, just older. The Cadillac Boys was just like, it was like a group of pimps that was always in the hood. And anybody who knows about California, pimping coincides with people driving Cadillacs. Like mostly every pimp, that's like a trophy. You finally got that big body Cadillac, and with enough room in the back seat for all your prostitutes to fit in, if that's the job you choose to do in life. And so our neighborhood started out with a bunch of hustlers, pimps, gangsters, and just doing things. There wasn't really no bloods yet. And then in the early 80s, we just, there's some older homies decided to start a clique called the High Togs, right? And they started banging High Tog, and that's people way like 2 generations above me. And they were like, we the High Togs, we running stuff, da 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 da. And then eventually, that morphed into a younger, like homies that were younger, that were High Togs, were like, nah, man, we not finna be High Togs. We doing our own thing. We don't do it like y'all. We gangsters. All y'all doing is pimping and getting money, but y'all not doing no gangster shit. And somebody got to protect the hood. You know what I mean? And nobody was protecting the hood. So they was like, well, we just gonna be Del Paso Heights Bloods. You know what I mean? They got Bloods down there in LA. We could be Bloods up here. We don't need them to start us. We can start our own shit. And that's eventually what the homies ended up doing, is they ended up starting their own blood set in the hood. My hood started in my hood. It didn't get started by nobody from a different hood. It started in my hood, and it's only ever been in my hood. There's no Del Paso Heights Bloods nowhere else. There's no other hoods. Like you see, there's LA neighborhoods that go to other sides of the country and start cliques over there and over here. Nah, my hood is in my hood and in my hood alone. And but once the High Togs started the offset of the High Togs started as being Bloods, then younger homies like myself, like a couple years later, like in 89, about 88, 89, that's when the homies was like, I got out of juvenile, and basically the homies was like, I had already started banging it in juvenile. You know what I mean? So I didn't really have to get put on, because like my uncles is all from my neighborhood and all my homies is from my neighborhood. So it's like, you don't have to be put on. You from here. You ain't got no option really. You from here, and you already put in work in the hood as a youngster. Because at 12 and a half, I was already incarcerated for shooting somebody in my neighborhood. So I went to juvenile to did my time.
Can you run into that a little bit, brother? Of what happened
absolutely. I was 12 and a half, and I was walking, almost 13, walking through the neighborhood with my friend in the middle of the night. Like I said, I had the little snub nose 22 or 25. I can't remember exactly what it was. I think it was a 22 though. Little pearl handle get down. And we was walking through the neighborhood just chilling. We wasn't supposed to be out, but we was. We walking, and we got a little racist neighborhood that borders our neighborhood on the other side of white individuals called Rio Linda. And at the time, it's not racist no more, but at this time it was a racist neighborhood. And a guy from Rio Linda came driving up, jumped out the truck, Caucasian individual, and my friend happens to be white. So he looks at the white kid, and he don't say nothing to me. He looks at the kid. He said, "What you doing out here, man?" He said, "I'm just walking with my friend." He said, "Why are you walking with this N-word, right?" And he talking about me, right? And look, I'm a little kid, man. I'm nervous. This is a grown man, right? I'm like, wow. So I stick my hand in my pocket, because I know that thing is in my pocket. And he looked at the friend. My friend said, "That's my friend. Don't be talking to him like that." And the grown man reached back and he slapped my friend. Well, when he did that, I pulled out the pistol and pop, 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 pop. And it jammed. Luckily, it jammed at like 3 or 4 shots. And then when it jammed, he just ran. He dropped, I ran. And unfortunately for me, but the friend who got slapped was scared. He thought I killed him. So when he went home to his mom that night, him being a 12-and-a-half-year-old child as well, his mom asked him what's wrong, and he told her. He told her what had happened, and his mom called the police and told the police that I killed somebody in the parking lot over there by Big G's, which was a grocery store in my neighborhood. And they came right to my house and got me and took me to juvenile hall. And that's when the let's say the life of crime started. Not that I wasn't doing little stuff before that, but then after I went to juvenile and I got that first jolt of, because see, before that, I don't mean to over talk too long, but before that, the fear of juvenile was real, right? Because I had never been there. So the fear of going there was real. So I kind of tampered my activities. I was careful about what I was doing because I didn't want to get caught. You know what I mean? Because I didn't want to go to juvenile hall. I didn't want to be locked away nowhere. But then once I went the first time, it was like, that wasn't so bad. Like I was there and I was with all of my homeboys that I had seen that was missing in the neighborhood anyway. Like,
I mean,
I was wondering.
any way, was it like sort of a break for you? I mean, a break from all the craziness going inside to juvie at that time?
Well, it was. I don't want to make it seem like my home life was that bad. I mean, don't get me wrong. I was an abused child. I was an abused kid. I've been put in the hospital a couple of times by my parents, by my mother. But I feel like, and I've said this before, and people haven't been able to understand or comprehend it from my standpoint. But I believe that even though my mom was lost in wherever she was at that time in life, in her mental, where she thought it was okay to abuse me and whoop me and discipline me the way she did, it helped me later in life. Because you take a child who's never been struck before and you strike them, their first reaction is ow. But if you take a child that's been abused all their life, they don't say ow when you hit them. You know, they conjure up all them thoughts about every person that hit them before that they couldn't do nothing about. And you get whatever gets vomited out on you after that. So I did have my times where I was abused as a child, but I didn't look at juvenile as a break, but I did look at it as a way to link up with my old friends that I hadn't seen in a while. And after the first time I was scared. I'm not trying to pretend like I was just this big badass at 12-and-a-half years old, because I wasn't. I was a little scrawny ass kid. I was crying in the back of the police car. I was crying all the way to juvenile hall. But as soon as they opened that door and put me in juvenile hall, all that stopped. Because for some reason, my child mind still told me I couldn't show weakness. Yeah. It still told me if you go in here and you show weakness, everybody's gonna punk you. So I had to toughen up. So I got in there and I did my little tiny bid, and I went from there, got out on ankle bracelet, went back in, and I mean I went back and forth. I never got off of supervision from the time I was 12-and-a-half till I was 41 years old.
So pretty much always had like some sort of court case pending or some sort of conditions.
Either some kind of conditions of release or something going on throughout all those years of my life, or like the whole 18 years, 17 years. I was sentenced to 18 years. I did 17 of it. So for all those years, I was incarcerated for those years. And then I was on parole for 3 years after that. So now I've been off parole for almost 4 years. And
man, bro, I just want to say, well done, brother. You know what I mean, bro, coming through all of that, man. That's a massive achievement, man. Off parole, nothing on your back, man. What a feeling that must be, brother.
Oh my God. Hey, I didn't realize how good it was gonna feel.
Yeah.
Till I got there, right? Yeah. Like I didn't even trip off it until I got to that day and we had a little party, you know. I didn't have a party when I paroled from prison because I felt like there was nothing to celebrate. You know what I mean? Yeah. I need to get to work. I need to get to building this empire.
Yeah, bro.
But definitely. The day I got off of parole, we had a party, and it was mostly all the people that were invited on my side of the party were all parolees that had got off parole. Like everybody who came to my party were people that had already made it off parole, have flourishing careers. They're taking care of their families. They're doing their stuff like they're supposed to be doing it. Those are the people who I wanted to be around. And those are the people who I'm still around to this day. And the people that we're feeding each other's flames. Like if you start to fall out, I'm gonna throw some wood on it for you. You know what I mean? And vice versa. You know,
Yeah,
people
same here.
consistently feeding each other.
Yeah, same here, brother. That's all I really associate with, man. Just people that's kicking goals in life, you know what I mean, that have come off parole, come off their conditions, man, you know, because we know that
Right.
that's a massive achievement, man. You know what I
Right.
mean? Living a life without conditions, man, is after
Yeah,
being
that's
on them for
big.
so long, man, you know.
Yeah,
But
that's true. That's a fact.
can I ask you, bro? So at 12 and a half, I mean, who had really taught you how to use guns and all of that, bro?
Okay,
Like, did you
so
know how to use the use? So you obviously already knew how to load
yeah,
and
okay, so yeah, my step pops when we was younger, he always had guns in the house.
oh,
Um,
okay. Yeah.
but he always wanted to make sure that if something popped off in the house and he wasn't home, that me and my brother knew what to do. Like we knew how to load the guns, we knew how to shoot the guns. And then my grandfather, who's white on the other side, and my uncles on the other side, they all got guns in their homes and they live on ranches and stuff. So they take us out there and show us how to use guns out there. So we were taught how to use guns at a young age.
Mm,
And I even
yeah.
used to sneak out when I was in the sixth grade. We used to sneak out. We lived in the projects, and we used to sneak out and go practice shooting. We had a long range 22 rifle with a scope, and we used to go practice shooting with that in the middle of the night while my mom was asleep. So,
Or just in the neighborhood, just letting off shots because
well,
that.
there was a lumber yard like where we live by the project. There's a lumber yard right next door to the
Okay,
project. So we would shoot at the wood in the lumber yard, like the big stacks of wood. We just shoot at that, find a target and try to shoot at it.
man, that's crazy.
We didn't
Oh,
have YouTube. We didn't have YouTube to show us how to shoot guns. We had to go learn on our own. We had
yeah.
bottles and shit.
Oh man. All right, man. So yeah, okay. So at 12 and a half, you did your first little stint, and then pretty much from there, you were always inside. So when did you do your long jolt, brother? So how old were you when
Well,
you?
well, I caught the actual case in '96, but they didn't catch me until '97. So that's when they caught me in '97, but they booked me on a case from '96.
So
So
up until that case on 96, I mean, when you did catch that case, how long had you even been out for, brother?
8 months.
8 months, and that
I
was the
was out
longest
eight
you had
months.
ever been out.
Ever been out in my life was 8 months. That was the longest I've ever been out
What were the
consistently.
names of the institutions you were in up to that point, brother? You know, like is there like YA and
No, okay, so I never hit YA, but I did go to juvenile hall. Excuse me. I went to juvenile hall. I went to the boys' ranch. Okay, so we have a place called Warren E. Thornton Youth Center out here in Sacramento, aka Girls School. It's called Girls School because when it first opened, it was a school for delinquent girls, but then they expanded it and made it co-ed. So they changed it to Warren E. Thornton Youth Center. I went to the Warren E. Thornton Youth Center. Per program, maxed that out. Then I ended up going to the Boys Ranch per program, and then I ended up maxing that out, did 11 months there. Then I got out, and 2 weeks after my 18th birthday, I caught my first adult case.
well, so were the cases that you were catching as bad as the first one or
No, no, they were all like battery. It was always violence. It was always some kind of violence, battery, assault, robberies, stuff like that. You
but it
know,
would have looked a lot worse because of your first offense.
right, but I never caught like I sold drugs for most of my life, but I never caught a drug case. I caught one drug case in my life, and that was while I was incarcerated. I was already locked up when I caught my first drug case. I caught one in the county jail.
Oh well. Oh, so that was for dealing in the county or like a
Yeah,
charge from the outside. Oh,
no,
okay.
they caught me with work in the county.
Well,
Well,
so
what happened with that one was an individual was buying crack from me in the county jail. And I had, people would come in with work, whatever they tuck it in their prison pocket or whatever people want to call it when they
yeah.
get arrested. And they come in and I whale and deal and get mine because I want to make some money too. And I was selling drugs in there, and an individual got some crack with me from me on consignment until store day. Well, store day came, and he thought because I was just youngsters, he was gonna fund me, and he wasn't gonna give me my money. So I went to his cell and I assaulted him, and I went up in there and I took all his canteen. And I went back to my cell, put all his canteen. Well, instead of being a gangster about it, like he was trying to act in the first place, he he went out to the tower cop, pushed the button, went out to the tower cop and told the tower cop that I had robbed him. He didn't tell him that. He didn't tell him the truth. I did rob him, but he didn't tell him what led up to the robbery, of course. And he also told him he knew that I kept my dope in the little pocket inside my underwear. And he even told them that because when they first came and snatched me up, that's the first thing they did: take off your underwear. Take off your underwear. Give us your underwear. Strip out. Give us your clothes. And they went right in the pocket and grabbed it out and gave me a dope case, possession of a controlled substance.
Oh, so that was the only drug case that you ever caught, even though you were dealing most of your life. I mean, what was the first drug you sold, bro? And
The first drug I ever sold was crack cocaine. That's the first drug I ever sold. I sold crack cocaine from the time I was about 13ish till about, I'm thinking like 16, 17. All I sold was crack. Because
how would you go about how would you go about in the neighborhood becoming a drug dealer, bro? So you just went to the boys and they sort of hooked you up, or?
Well, yeah, that's exactly what happened. Well, and from my house, across the street from my house and right around the corner, like real close, there was always people hanging out right there. And they were older homies from the neighborhood, stuff like that. So I used to just go over there and hang out with them because that's where the homies was at. And I seen they was getting money. So one day I just hit them up. I'm like 13. I'm like, what's up, man? Can I get some money? What's happening? How can I get some money? And they was like, we ain't giving nothing away free. If you want some money, you got to grind just like we got to grind. And one of them gave me I'm not going to say his name, but one of them gave me a 500 count. He gave me a 500 count of rocks already chopped up. It was like, bring me back 200. And that's how it started with the crack game.
How long did it take you to get that back for him and double up?
I got that 200 that night. And I was only 13. I got that night, but I'm right there. And the older homies was giving me the knocks. They was like, go, get that one. Get that one. Get that. They was showing me how to do it. They was showing me the works. Like, go. I had a couple older homies that was like, yeah, we'll show you how to do it. Come over here with us. And then they was just letting me get money. I got that night. And I came back, and then an older homie that was like even closer to me, that was more like my relative, he was like, what you doing over here? Like, selling dope. Let me see. I show him the sack. He like, where you get this from? And I tell him, and he said, did you cook it yourself? I'm like, nah. He like, man, this is trash, man. Whoever's and he took me over there to the homie that who gave it to me, gave it back to him, told him, don't give him no more dope. If you give him any more dope, I'm gonna do something to you. And then he took me to the house and got a pile of powder out and got some baking soda out and was like, come here, I'm gonna show you how to cook. And then after that day, I started cooking on my own shit. I never would buy already processed drugs. You know what I mean? So I would cook my own dope. I would sell my own dope.
Were you ever on drugs at any point, brother, or were you just strictly a seller?
No, just a seller. Just a seller. Now, when you in the gang life, from my generation, it's like extremely frowned upon to be on any kind of drugs. Like if it other than marijuana, you know what I mean? And I really wasn't a weed smoker, so that wasn't really my thing. Like I wasn't really. My thing was, man, I grew up in a house where we didn't really have a lot, man. It was rough in my house. You know what I mean? I have hand-me-downs from my brother. We get one serving at mealtime, and that's it. You know what I mean? Ain't no seconds, you might not even get full off the one serving. So my whole mentality was, I got to go get it. I got to go get it and get this money. I ain't got time to waste money on alcohol. I ain't got time to waste money on doing drugs, on smoking weed, nothing. I got to get this money so my sisters and my family can eat. That was my mindset, and, so I can eat it, so I can have nice things. And that's what the mindset behind what I was doing was. It wasn't, I didn't want to be flashy because I was never really that flashy, but I always had money and I was always dressed nice.
So how did your life change, bro, when the money started rolling in from the drugs? Did it really change at all, or was there just more headaches? And
it changed, but it's like it pulled me deeper and deeper in. Yeah. Like the more I did, the more I had to do. You know, it's like the more dope I sold, the more chance I had to have beating up a smoker or trying to run off with my dope.
Or people owing you
or people owing me money. Because then when I moved from crack to meth, the whole game changed though. Okay. Like everything changed when I moved from crack to meth. That took a lot of the risk out of the game for me. Because when I was selling crack, I was just on the block serving rocks all night long. Like it's so easy to get caught like that. And then somebody that was older than me pulled me aside. Once again, I've always had older people always pulling me aside because they like me. Like, look, man, you got to do it like this. Stop standing out here with these bozos that's going to be out here for the rest of their life, and come do something where you can sit in the house. And I learned how to cop or buy meth. I got hooked up with some bikers. I've learned how to buy meth, chop up meth, bag up meth, and I started working off my pager after that, to where I didn't have to be on the block. And for those of you guys who don't know, we used to have the beepers, the pagers, you know what I mean, back in the days. And I just started working off my pager. So everybody would hit me for dope on my pager, and I just bring it to them like that. And I always had cars. I had cars since I was like 14 years old. So I had a car or motorcycle, something all the time. So it was no problem to be mobile, and that made me more valuable to the users that were hard to find, because now you don't have to come to the hood. I'll bring it to you. You know what I mean? And the meth users that lived off in the nice areas and stuff, because like I sold to architects, lawyers, like all those kind of people, but they don't want to come to the hood and get their shit. So when they met me or got hooked up with me through whoever, that saved them time and safety. You know what I mean? And they know they were getting a good product because they never got a bad product from me. So I come out, bring it to them, and we handle our business. And then I saw that it was making money like that, and that's just where I stayed doing.
So the violence side of you could sort of switch that on and off. It wasn't like you were just, just known as just a real violent guy all the time.
I was known as the guy in the hood that I was cool as cucumber. But once you got me to that point, you might not know I'm going to that point, but once I get there, it's a problem. It's a problem, because I don't want to just beat you up. I want to hurt you. You know what I mean? I want to set an example to others that deal with me, that if you deal with me wrong, this is going to be the result.
Yeah.
And hey, son, can you give me a watermelon juice? Oh, some ice. And you had to know that if you did anything out of pocket to me, I wasn't letting it slide, not even a little bit. Like, because if I let a little bit slide, my mentality was, if I let a little bit slide, it's just going to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
I wasn't going for that.
Yeah. Wow. So so you were dealing in and out of the system.
Yes,
you ended up getting out where you spent 8 months out. So during that 8 months, so was that the meth game? And
yeah, it was always after 17, it was always a meth game. I never went back to crack after that.
Okay, so can you talk about the lead up to what you ended up doing your hard time for during that 8 months?
Absolutely. I had during the 8 months.
Yeah, so the lead up to the offense.
Okay, see, I did 8 months, and then I got out for 8 months, and then that's when I caught the big case.
Yep.
Well, okay, so I'm out. I get out. I'm grinding the first day. The first day, I don't want to go home first. I want to go to the dope man house first. So when my folks picked me up from the county, from the branch in Elk Grove out here, I had them take me straight to the dope man house. I had already talked to the dope man the night before in the county. Look, I'll be there in the morning as soon as I get out. Have me ready. Have me a pistol. Have me some dope, and I'll be there. And it was a homie, so he was like, "Yeah, I got you." And I went straight to his house. He had me a gun, and he had me a sack of dope. And I hit the ground running. You know what I mean? I didn't. I'm thinking I only took what we call dope house naps for the first 3 days. Like, I only slept in between people knocking on the door. I used to put a chair right next to the door at the dope spot. I put a chair right next to the door, and I would sleep right there with the door locked. So the door's right here behind me. So if you knock on the door, I'm just up. That's the only kind of sleeping I got at the time.
Man, yeah.
Yeah, but that led up to me meeting a pretty big time guy that was dealing with a lot of weight, and he just happened to come to the dope spot to visit the person who owned the spot, and he just seen me sitting by that chair, and he said what's up to me, and everybody looked at this dude like a celebrity, like, oh, that's doop 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 doop. And I was just like, he said what's up to me, I'm like, oh, what's up, bro? And I just kept doing what I was doing, waiting for these knocks, watching TV and waiting for these knocks. And he see me get up, go out, come back in, get up, go out, come back in, get up, go out, come back in, check my pager, run back out. He just kept seeing me do it. And he said, hey, man, hey, can you give me a ride to the store? I'm like, me? I was like, I ain't got no car, bro. Because I was fresh out. I didn't even have a car yet, right? He was like, yeah, I've been drinking though, but can you drive me? You can drive me in my car. I'm like, yeah, for sure. So we go out there. I ain't even had no license, but I know how to drive. So we go out, we hop in the car. I drive him up to the store. And he like, yeah, man, I see you jumping up and going out and coming back in, going out and coming back in. What you doing? What you selling? I said, shit, a little bit of crank. And then, that's another word we use for meth, crank. And he was like, yeah, how much money you making? I'm like, shit, I'm making a little bit of change. He like, well, shit, I might have to holler at you about something, man. We might be able to make some things shake. I'm like, it's good with me, whatever, man. I'm chilling. I'll be here. So that night, after, he'd been there all night and stuff, he asked me, hey, man, you think you'll drive me home? I'll pay you to drive me home. I'm like, yeah, I ain't tripping. So I'm like, if we don't go far, I'm gonna leave everything here though. He's like, yeah, it's good. I said, how much get back? He said, you can just drive my car back, or I'll bring you back in the morning. You just spend the night at my house. I'm like, all right, bet. I knew who he was from north to mouth, so I wasn't worried about it. Plus, I had that thing on me, so if it did go ugly, I'm gonna defend myself. And so I'm like, tell me where to go. He like drive to Stockton, right? I'm like, Stockton? I said, we're in Sacramento, man. He said, yeah, I live in Stockton. I'm like, okay, so that's like an hour away. I'm like, all right, bet. Let's go. We go. I didn't come home for like 3 weeks after that night. Right. And after that night, it took me from buying ounces at a time to having kilos at a time, just in that 3 weeks dealing with him. And I didn't go back. That 8 months was all. That 8 months, and I was only out like 3-4 days at that time. And from that 3-4 days till the day I got arrested, it was all weight. No more selling baggies, no more none of that. It was either you buying a quarter pound at the least. You don't buy at least 4 or 5 ounces at one whop, or I don't even want to talk to you. But I kept doing that, and then I came home. We were out of state doing some business out of state. And somebody in Sacramento owed me like $12,000. So I hit him. I'm like, hey, I'll be back in Sacramento. Have my money when I get there. Because you've had 3 weeks to have my money. You should have my money by now. Because I had fronted him the product. So we get back. I'm out there. We back in Stockton. I tell him I'm gonna go back to Sac. He like, okay, but stay away from Dude House, right? And this is 8 months later, right? Or 7 months later, whatever it was. And I'm like, yeah, all right. And I already know in my head I'm going straight to Dude House, right? So I go over there. I'm waiting outside at the apartments. He don't come. I'm all night. I'm drinking Paul Masson, which is a type of brandy, right? I'm just sipping just to be sipping, get a little saucy, whatever. So I'm there all night. I fall asleep. I get up early in the morning, and he comes driving up. And I walk outside. I'm like, what's up, man? You done had me waiting all night, man. And he get out the car. He like, oh, man, I'm here, man. I'm like, all right. Now, notice when he pull up, he driving a nice brand new car that he didn't have when I left. And he got a brand new outfit on, and he got a blunt in his ear, and he got a 40-ounce beer in his hand. So obviously you've been spending money. You know what I mean? So I look at him. I'm like, so you got my bread, man? He said it with a straight face. He looked at me. He said, you'll get your bread when I give it to you. So I got off on him, right? So I fire on him. I punch him in his face. And he fall down, and I get on him, pop, 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 pop. And he run upstairs. He run up the stairs. Now, when he run into the door of the apartment, I heard somebody yell, Nate, he got a gun, right? So by the time I come through the door, I'm already whipping mine out, but he's too close for me to extend on, right? So I slap him with my pistol as soon as I come in the door. And I had a Beretta 9, so that's all steel. So I slap him with the pistol. He fall down, and I see he don't even got no gun in his hand. So I slap him a couple more times with the pistol in the face, and in the head I crushed his cheekbone, his eye socket. That's that fractured his jaw. But then I went to shoot him in my gun jam. I think I had got some skin or something stuck in it, some blood in it. Whatever it was jamming. It didn't pull when I went to pull it.
Which saved his life.
It saved his life and saved mine too, because I didn't murder him. But then when it jammed, it just made me madder. So I grabbed him by his shirt and I just kept pummeling him with the pistol until my homeboy actually came up behind me, grabbed me, and went down the stairs with me and put me in the back of the car and drove off. I didn't realize it at the time, but dude ended up going into a coma. So they were looking. They didn't know if he was going to die or not, so they put a murder warrant out for me. So
you thought he was dead?
Huh? I thought he was dead. Yeah, I thought he was dead because they put a murder warrant. They got a murder warrant out for you. Why wouldn't I think he's not dead? Right? So I go on basically what you can consider a crime spree after that, because I'm thinking when they catch me, it's over with anyway. So I need to stack up some cash. So I'm hitting licks. I'm robbing people. But I'm robbing everybody that owe me money. See, that's the key part. That's the key part that can't go unnoticed. I'm not just robbing random people. I'm robbing everybody that owes me money that says anything other than I have it. If you don't have it, I'm robbing you. I'm robbing you for whatever you got. And by the time they ended up catching me, they got a 3-strike law in California. By the time they ended up catching me, I had 9 strikeable felonies on my jacket when they arrested me. So I had attempted murder on the first guy. I had carjacking, robbery, assault with a deadly weapon, taking a vehicle without owner's consent because I made him get out of his car and took it from him. But he didn't tell him I pulled a pistol on him. He just said he let me borrow the car and I didn't come back, which wasn't the case. I just took the car because he owed me money. So I had all these cases on my jacket when I first got the case. So the DA, they agreed to a deal because first I was facing 68 to life. So 68 years to life was what I was looking at if I took it to trial. So with my priors, and this already being my second strike, because my first one I went and did the 8 months I spoke of earlier, that was an armed robbery. So I had got my first strike for that and I had to do a year in the county, which with good time was 8 months. 8 months, 28 days. So almost 9 months. So I came home and this happened and they offered me a deal with my priors for 18 years. Well, they offered me a deal for 15 years. I said I'll take the deal, but then while I was in the holding tank, one of the dudes that told on me on my case now was in the holding tank across from me. And I tried to whisper to another blood that was in the cage, that's the dude that's telling on me. And he got loud, like, oh, blood, you told on the homie? And he attacked the dude in the cage, and the bailiff heard it. So they re-ad booked me the next day, saying that I contracted someone else to do harm to a witness, and they also ad booked me for dissuading a witness, and they also ad booked me for the possession of a controlled substance in a jail or institution.
And so they consolidated it all into the 18-year sentence.
They added that to the deal, added 1 year for each new crime, and then said, well, your new deal is 18 years. Take it or leave it.